welcome to Dead Man Talking. Tonight's show is a step into reality, a step into the true stories. As you know, you guys, I do like to take my time with collecting and speaking with the witnesses, rather than just putting out story after story and suggesting that it's true. Now, these 3 stories tonight, I've spoke with the witnesses, and I can confirm they definitely went through something quite traumatic, and something that changed their lives and the way they look in the world completely from that very moment onwards. Of course, as ever, please do let me know down below in the comments what you thought. As ever, please do like and share, and don't forget to hashtag Team Fear. And without further ado, let's get into the first story I'd like to entitle The Rescue from the Gully. Let's get straight into that. Hi DMT. So this all happened some time ago, and I'll cover everything that I can remember. It was 23 or 24 years ago on Halloween in a small place called Keswick, Ontario, on the forest trail of Vivian Woods or Willow's Woods. So, being Halloween, I got ready and all dressed up like my Diablo game character. Laugh out loud. Usually my little brother would come along, but he was sick that year, so I took 2 sacks with me and set out on a mostly smooth night of collecting candy. Fast forward to heading home through the woods of a relatively short walk, coming towards where the bridge crosses the gully. Then I noticed there was 2 boys standing by the bridge. No whoop, I thought, as just then I hear a few more voices in the bush. There was 3 more boys hiding, and when I approached the bridge, the other 2 moved to block my way, and then I heard them shout, "Hey guys, it's Powder!" My nickname in grade school after the movie Powder. That's when the other 3 moved behind me and presumed to grab the sacks of candy. Needless to say, I wasn't giving them up without a fight. Unfortunately, 5 versus 1 cancer patient make for shit odds. After receiving numerous blows and kind of losing my hearing, I felt myself get lifted up and dragged to the gully's edge, and then tossed down, where I sat in pain for some time. Then I felt something moving over and beneath me. I opened my eyes as much as I can given the pain, and what I saw was a huge white furry hand wrapping around my body. Looking up to see this massive, skinny white tall thing, it's not even leaning down to pick me up, and the nails slightly clawed and pure white. So I felt myself lift. I felt maybe 2 steps up the gully. I felt it put me down, and I opened my eyes and saw a street light. Then I heard 2 or 3 howls and the sound of the bushes as it left. The house sounded like Pluto from the Labyrinth movie. Needless to say, someone found me, patched me up and took me home, and I spent time out of school for recovery and observation. I've seen a lot of weird shit since then, but nothing close to that big white furry thing. It looked like it could stomp on a Bigfoot with ease. Cannock Chase, Dogman. Let's get straight into that. Hi DMT. First of all, can I just say how much I love your channel and how much it has helped me come to terms with what I saw. It really helps to know that so many other people see these strange creatures and that I'm not crazy. A little background about myself before I get into the story. My name is Kyler Demasini McAdam. I am a 24-year-old guy from the West Midlands of England in the UK. Now, I don't live far from the place called Cannock Chase, which is where my encounter took place. It happened when I was 19 years of age. I had just completed a new album and, at that age, with any excuse, me and my friends Peggy, Rosalind, and my boyfriend James and his friends Francis and Eamon took the opportunity to have a little private celebration in the Chase. We went to our local off-licence, bought some booze, and off we went for an all-nighter in the woods, as is the norm for teens. We got to our usual spot around 10 PM and got to drinking. About an hour had passed, and we were getting pretty tipsy and having a good time, playing my new tunes from James's Bluetooth speaker, when Peggy screamed. I was shocked and asked, "What the bloody hell is wrong with you?" She said, "I swear, I've just seen a bear by that log." Now, Peggy has always been a bit ditzy, and is often the butt end of our jokes, with some of the things that she comes out with. So everyone just burst into laughter, and Francis said, "You don't get bears in England, you div." Everyone laughed it off and got back to drinking. However, I couldn't help but think. I had heard of the Cannock Chase werewolf before. I never believed in it, mind you. Men that turn into wolves? Come on, I wasn't a kid. I just thought it was folktale, like the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot. But without thinking too much of it, I just registered the thoughts and carried on with the merriment. Peggy, however, couldn't. She was jumpy and kept on looking around her into the woods. An hour or so later, I was a tad bit merry, and it was also apparent that I needed a wee. So I went a little bit off into the woods to get some privacy. As I was doing my thing, I heard leaves crackling in a footstep-like fashion. I stopped myself. "Hello? Babe, is that you?" No reply. So I got back to it, just to hear that sound again. Carrying on this time, I called, "Guys, if you're trying to scare me, too bad. I'm too tipsy to care." I just finished up when I heard a deep, guttural growl emit from the darkness. I looked around, now quite frightened, but couldn't see a thing. I quickly ran as fast as I could back to the others and into James's arms. "Whoa, babe, whoa, what's wrong?" he asked. I told him what happened and he just laughed at me. "Ah, baby, had a bit too much to drink." I scowled. "Don't be an arse, I'm serious. It was probably just your imagination after too much drink and Peggy's eyes needing testing," he said, as him, Francis and Eamon all started laughing. "Fine, don't believe me," I snapped, sitting on my log with an obvious annoyance. Rosalind sat next to me. "I know he's being a prick, but he's probably right. It's probably just the drink, that's all." I know she was trying to be nice and comfort me, but I know what I heard. I know I didn't imagine it. I sat there for the next hour, seething to myself, slowly sobering up. I was so mad that the only person who seemed to believe me was Peggy, and that my own boyfriend was just laughing at me with his mates. Every now and then one of them would make a sarky comment and take the mick, and eventually I just snapped. "Do you know what, James? Piss off. You and your bleeding dickhead little mates can take a sarky comments and shove them up your arse." I got up and stormed off into the woods, James trying to call me back, but ignoring him until he was out of earshot. I found a little spot a while away, sat down and started to cry. I was still a little bit tipsy, heightened emotions and all that, you know. But then, through my tears, I heard those footsteps again. I stopped myself and listened. They were getting closer. I looked around to the general direction I was hearing them from, but couldn't see anything. I slowly got up, trying to not alert whatever it was to the fact I could hear it, in case it was some knife-wielding nutcase. I walked a little and realised that in my anger, I hadn't taken note of the direction I'd come from. "Oh shit," I thought. "That bastard better be looking for me." I walked until I found a big tree that my whole body would fit behind and slipped in behind it. Now, being very scared, I heard the crunching of leaves get closer and closer. I stood there, shaking, thinking this is it. I'm about to be murdered by some weirdo creeping around the woods in the middle of the night, until I heard, like a dog sniffing right behind the tree. Sighing a massive breath of relief and thinking, "Oh, thank heavens for that. It's just a pooch." I turned around to see a massive 8, maybe 9, maybe even 10-foot beast standing on its hind legs before me. But in that split second I wasn't scared, like as if some primal instinct held me for a second before logical thought kicked in. It was the most beautiful creature I'd ever seen. It was a sturdy-looking beast, muscular. It had shaggy and matted, light brown and grey fur, a fluffy mane around its neck, and like a German shepherd's shaggy tail. Its face looked, well, just like a wolf. In fact, he, I noticed, kind of looked like my Siberian husky, Snowy, at home. Only his eyes were more of a golden, yellowish colour than Snowy's chocolate brown eyes. He was just gorgeous, I thought, until rational thinking kicked in, and I suddenly thought, bloody hell, I've got to get out of here. I ran as fast as I could in the opposite direction to the beast. He seemed to give me a head start. Then, on all fours he got, and ran like the wind. Taking no time to catch up to me, he pounced, slamming me to the floor. I felt a sharp pain in my elbow down to my fingers, and I screamed. He turned me over and pinned me down. His weight was immense. I screamed and screamed at the top of my lungs for James, but try as I might, I could not move. He just had me pinned down looking at me. He got in my face, and I closed my eyes thinking this was the end. But I just felt a tickle in my ear as he sniffed me, just like Snowy did at home. You know, when your dog sniffs in your ears and tickles you with his whiskers. Well, this enormous monster was doing that. I was in shock. I thought he wanted to eat me, not play. He stood up, still looking at me like his curious new toy. Just then I heard James, Francis and Peggy. "Kay! Kyla! Are you okay? Kay! What the bloody..." The beast looked at them, gave me one last glance and then took off, fast as lightning, into the night. James ran to me, tears now streaming down his face. Babe, are you okay? I'm so sorry, are you hurt? I should never have let you go off like that." I'm fine, I promised. It didn't hurt me. Ouch! I realised that in my fall I'd hurt my elbow. I later found out that this was a slight dislocation, but I knew that it was an accident. This animal had not tried to hurt me at all. I had a lot of trouble coming to terms with it all, but simply because I wondered if I was going crazy. But if that's were the case, were James, Francis and Peggy all crazy too? They had seen it. Then we found this whole community, and I found so much comfort in knowing we're not alone. Others have seen these magnificent creatures too, and we now feel validation in our experience. I just want others to know that not all dogmen, werewolves, lycans, whatever each person may call them, are vicious, bloodthirsty monsters. In fact, I believe they are just another of Earth's creatures trying to get by. Thank you all for listening to my story, and I hope others take comfort in it, as I have in theirs. Okay, now this next encounter has actually been sourced together, if you like, through Alicia Morgan, my great friend and also my counterpart now, the DMT team, certainly in charge of operations over in America. Fantastic work here, Alicia. Thank you so much. I know it hasn't been easy with the amount of things going on at home recently, but your support is fantastic, and your work even more so. Without further ado, guys, let's get into this true Dogman encounter story from 1977 in Michigan. Let's get straight into that. "This isn't the first time I've had to deal with this," he said, "but it's the first time I've had this damn thing on my land." I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So you guys are saying a werewolf did this?" "No, damn it, this thing isn't a man. It never was. It's a beast. Look around at this carnage. It was done by a monster." This arguing went on for a bit, but I heard very little. I was busy trying to decide if I was working with insane people, or the people that I have known to be honest, hard-working men that had absolutely no reason to make this up. We cleaned up and finished our day up by checking the fence line as a group. I had so many questions, but nowhere to get answers. There was no internet that was available, and the library in Mayville, it was a joke. I had 2 days to figure out all of this. Okay. One day, I screwed around most of the weekend. I don't think I wanted to face this. So Sunday came and I decided to talk to my old man. The people I was working for was my dad's friends. Friends for a lifetime, he said. He listened to my story and said, "Well, those dogmen have been around here and most of the dense forests of Michigan for lots of years." "I'm sorry, what?" I said. "Look, if the farmer says that is what happened, and that's what he saw, then that's all there is to it," my dad said. Well, I guess I wasn't thinking in my dad's mindset. These men didn't seek fame or money from these happenings. They actually hid them most of the time. As an adult, I now see my dad's point. These farmers had no cause to make up these stories or fake attacks like what happened at my job. They lost thousands when those cows were torn up, but I still thought like a kid back then and just decided it was all a bunch of horseshit. It was just some human doing this, some crazy ass woodsman. And so I went back to work Monday with a new cocky attitude. I wasn't going to be scared off of my job by this crap. The atmosphere at work was tense, but I didn't care anymore. I was convinced it was the weirdo living in the woods, or all the old boys messing with me. 9 p.m. came up quick that day. August 15th was the date that I would never forget. Perkins and I said we would check the fence line. I had picked up the habit of smoking because if you smoked, you could get away with a few extra breaks. I now realise it was stupid, but I was 16 and that's all. I was stupid. I was still trying to dodge my boss and trying to keep my old man from finding out. The boss was hardly there, but I still was a bit paranoid anyway. This was a great time to have a cig, and so we noticed the fence line was reinforced with heavy-duty barbed wire. We joked about how the boss probably had a massive fit when he had to pay for that. It was done over the weekend and us teens didn't work weekends, so he had to pay for the big boys to install it. We were heading out, passing by the northwest corner of the pasture, and we were slapped in the face with the foulest odour that I've ever smelt, even to this day. It was wet, sort of a rotted dog smell, with a stinky hot copper. Perkins started dry heaving, and my eyes were watering like I tried to wipe my eyes with onion slices. It was now about 9:20, and so twilight was setting in. After Perkins was finally able to compose himself for a bit, we was both cussing up a storm. What the F is that? Holy shit, etc. You get the idea. When all of a sudden, we heard to me what sounded like a bull snorting. There are bulls on the property, but none on the outside of the fence line in a tree. We started backing away slowly as I got my flashlight out. I knew exactly where to point it. I just wasn't sure I wanted to. I chose to turn it on at the base of the tree and move it up slowly. Why I did that, I don't know, because what I saw changed my life forever. About 4 feet up the tree, where the branches formed a Y shape, was a massive furry dog, and it was crouched in the dip of the Y shape, with its arms resting on the limbs making the upper Y. It just stared at us, teeth bared and growling. Jesus Christ, what am I seeing? Perkins started making very bizarre squeaking sounds, which startled me, but it also snapped me back to reality, and reality was pretty shitty. I reached up to grab my rifle that I had strapped over my shoulder, and this thing dropped down onto the ground, landing on its hind legs. It began to rise up and up. Now, I'm 6'2", and this thing was much taller than that. It crouched down and took the I'm going to attack you stance. It then lunged forward, and I shot at the same time. I thank God every day that heavy-duty barbed wire was there. It got caught up in a bunch of the wire that had been left behind the same day, soon to be used to finish the fence. It screamed, howled, and growled so loud that the guys standing by their trucks waiting for us to get back heard it, and they started coming to the area that we was at. Some were on foot, and a few were on the trucks. This thing was thrashing and screaming for what felt like 10 minutes, but in reality, it probably lasted 30 seconds. The truck carrying my boss and the other guys got to us just in time to see the thing stand up and bolt. We all just stared towards the dark area that it ran into, all in pure shock. I decided after all these years I could handle it. I not only handled it, I kind of got excited. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of people like me out there. After 2 years of listening to everything I could find on Dogman, I stumbled across Dead Man Talking and a woman named Alicia that was close to my age at the time of her encounter, and within 20 miles of my encounter. So, here we are. This is the first time I have told my story. All I want you people to know now is they are real, flesh and blood creatures, and they don't like you messing with their territory. Stay safe in the woods of MI, folks. Or do what I do and stay out of the woods altogether. Wow. Thank you all so much for being kind enough to share your story with us. I know certainly a couple of you had some real trials and tribulations getting over this, and still to this day it lingers in the back of your mind. But as many have said before you, it really does help to talk about these experiences and share them with a wider audience, and who knows, maybe we'll just get those answers that we all seek. As ever guys, please do let us know down below in the comments what you thought. Please do like and share, and don't forget to hashtag Team Fear. And if you've had an encounter or an experience that just didn't quite add up or was downright frightening, and you think you'd like to speak with myself or one of the team and hopefully get to the bottom of things and some answers, please do send that over to the email address on screen. That's dmtforestoffear@gmail.com. I hope you're all well and having a great start to the week and looking forward to an even better weekend. And above all, remember, be safe, not sorry.